Your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by, and if I can get my soundboard working, it must be Monday morning or something.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Lauryn Dunn is with us, and we got a theme song here for you, Lauryn. I think you might recognize it.
I love it.
Okay, so Lauryn is a military expert, military mom, military spouse. Holy cow, you got them all covered, don't you?
I'm surrounded.
You're surrounded. And then on top of all that, you focus on helping military families. So we're going to talk a lot about that. Story time with Lauryn is coming up. But hey, let's celebrate today. What are we celebrating? I'm sure glad that Josh didn't pick this one. Josh takes care of figuring out the celebrations of the day. And there is one celebration that I thought he might have come up with. I am lucky that he didn't. Today is National Ding-a-Ling Day. Okay, we're not going to do that. National Gingerbread House Day. Okay, are you making gingerbread houses? I have no creativity at all, so I probably couldn't come up with a gingerbread house. Gingerbread cookie, I can eat those. I have no problem with that. I've beaten anorexia. Speaking of which, today is National Ambrosia Day. And if you're not familiar with ambrosia, I don't know that it's not nearly as popular. I used to see it a lot when I was younger. Yes, I know that's a long time ago. But ambrosia holiday brings a salad, fruit, and I see coconut on there. Looks like some marshmallows. I like ambrosia. It's good stuff. Let's see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 84 points. S&P 500 is down 12. The NASDAQ is down 54. Does it matter that the NASDAQ is down after it was up almost 2% yesterday alone? So those folks that are in the NASDAQ, I am sharing with some private clients, and it's just between you and me. There's not more than 7 people listening, so we're okay. I am forecasting that right after the first of the year, we will see a market drop. Not just because I pull numbers out of the air. I do that too. But most people think that we're going to see some tax advantages next year. And if that's the case, those people that have capital gains, they may be looking to hold off and sell them after the first of the year where they might have done it during the current year. Something common when people start trying to predict where interest rates or where taxes are going. We got oil is down 64 cents a barrel. Do we want to even look at what oil's doing in the formerly Golden State? Because we are still number 2 until Gavin gets a hold of us. Then we'll be back to number 1. So we're at $4.34 a gallon of gasoline. $4.34. Is it? It's enough. It's painful out there, especially if you're thinking about going anywhere over the holidays. $4.34.
Ow!
National average $3.02. There's only 2 states over $4 a gallon, and I don't even want to talk about it. I just looked. Lauren, Ohio's at 303 a gallon. Is that about right?
Yeah, so I've seen it a little bit less sometimes. And I travel a lot back and forth between California and Ohio, and it's always a shock.
Yeah, holy cow. Now, I don't know if Ohio is the same, because Josh and I have done a non-scientific study. He's out there in Nevada. AAA says their average gallon of gasoline is 363.
Okay.
And Josh and I usually find it's really, if you go into Vegas or some of the bigger areas, it's about 50 cents a gallon cheaper. So you about 313, Josh? Give or take. Yeah, so he's and we're at 434, and ours is I think I go to Costco and I get gas right around 409. So it's still painful.
I got it for $2.65 the other day.
265 for a whole gallon?
For a whole gallon. That wasn't the grocery points, but still.
Geez, that's okay. So we like high prices, we like high taxes, we like stupid laws, and I know that we like them here in California because we keep voting for the same stupid people. So it's like, I guess we got a trifecta there: stupid prices, stupid taxes, stupid politicians. Although I did hear this morning, Lauren, I'm gonna throw it at you. We talked about it before we went on air. Ohio is they might have got some California transplants out there.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess Ohio has this problem. Ohio State University has a problem with football team playing against Michigan. And I think there's a little rivalry between the two.
Just a little rivalry.
But I think it's been tough the last 4 years, 5 years. Ohio State has been on the wrong side of that, no matter how good they are. So
it was only the last 2 years, but I've tried to assimilate to local culture here, but I don't follow as much as I should.
Okay, well, I stick with USC. We haven't had a good year in a couple of years either. So
yeah.
At least we still beat UCLA. We can't say too much about Notre Dame. My wife's family is all from South Bend, so I eat crow. And it's fascinating because it's right after Thanksgiving, so I have turkey and then crow. So it's tough. But Ohio, the state of Ohio wants to make it a federal crime. Okay, I can't make this stuff up. A federal crime to plant a flag on the Ohio State University field.
You know what I call that?
What?
Being a sore loser.
It is. I mean, go win the game. Then you don't have to worry about somebody else planting their flag on your field.
Right.
And something, I agree with you, it's being a sore loser, but I'd also say, something, you just won the game, go celebrate with your team. Why do you have to rub it in?
It wasn't in very good taste on Michigan's part, for sure.
Right. But and the ironic part, easy for me to say, go and starting a fight after the game. Why didn't they fight a little harder during the game? Maybe they would have won. Just throw that out there. But
I think it was all over after that 5-yard interception on the 5-yard line at the beginning of the game. I don't think they ever recovered from that.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it was a good game though. I mean, I had no horse in the race, so it didn't matter to me. Hey, Bill Belichick going to the NFL. We talk sports as well as everything else. Bill Belichick going to the college, North Carolina. Now, can you imagine a guy like Belichick where he just tells people what to do and they have to do it? And you go and you tell a bunch of teenage kids what they're going to do. That's going to be interesting. And I did watch over the weekend when they were talking to Tom Brady and Gronk about this. They said they don't think that Belichick really might have the temperament for dealing with college kids. Can you imagine this guy in his hoodie going and sitting on some family's couch talking to him about recruiting? I just doesn't quite seem like the way it's going to go. But hey, we'll figure it out. We're going to get back on topic today. Yes, we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about the most annoying part of applying for a loan. The most annoying part. Everybody can agree on this one. It's the most annoying part of applying for a loan. I'm going to share that with you. Actually, we're going to have Lauren talk about that. VA loans, some interesting parts about that as well. We've got our mortgage minute coming up. We're going to chat about what's going on in interest rates. And yes, I have no life, so I will be listening to the Chapman University Economic Forecast today for about an hour and a half. And the top 2 reasons to look at newly built homes, all that and more. Reach me anytime, Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
As the economy slows, do you know anyone worried about job loss? At Siegel Lending Team, we offer the Home Select Loan. Think of it as a financial superhero for homeowners with good income and credit. It not only saves your home, but also throws a life ring to your credit score. Because who needs stress when you can have peace of mind? Let's secure your future with a smile. Visit rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomeselect.com. NMLS 217037.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates, with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. What did loans lock at yesterday? Conventional 30-year fix, 6.604. That was down. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.818. That was down. FHA 30-year fix, 6.272. That was down. VA 30-year fix, 6.078. Best loan on the market for our veterans. That was down. And the USDA 30-year fix, 6.331. Rural areas, generally no down payment. That was down. If you want our thoughts on the market, as early as the data allows, each business day morning, we post on our social channels. You can also get a direct email from us, rsrlinks.com/market minute. rsrlinks.com/market minute. We'll send that out to you, and it does give you our thoughts on the market and where we're heading. Right now, the S&P 500 is down 8.47 as we speak. The 10-year Treasury, that one is up just a little bit, not enough to matter. And the mortgage-backed securities, those are pretty flat as well. We talk about the mortgage-backed security. We talk about the bond. When the bond goes up, the rates go down, the bond and vice versa. So right now, the bond is down 8 basis points, means the interest rates are up just a little bit. You can find all that information on the super secret website, google.com. So why do you come here to Ron Siegel Radio? Is because I'm going to tell you why this is happening. Well, the 10-year Treasury note auction yesterday was very strong, graded a B+. Even after the strong demand at auction, bonds sold off yesterday afternoon into the close. We got the producer price index today. This is the wholesale level. Measures wholesale or producer inflation, rose 0.4% in November, hotter than estimates of 0.2% year over year. PPI rose from an upwardly revised 2.6 to 3%, much hotter than the 2.6% expected. Previous year-over-year reading was revised higher from 2.4 to 2.6, which did not help with the figures. Core rate for those people that don't need food or energy rose 0.2% last month, which was in line with estimates. But year-over-year, there was a big jump, once again due to the upward revisions to the previous report. Previous year-over-year report was revised higher from 3.1 to 3.4, and it remained at 3.4 in today's release. Because of the upward revisions, the core rate was higher than market estimates of 3.2. Big surprise, though, came out in the markets, and this one really is a shocker.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Fruits and vegetables rose 31%. Whew, that accounted for 1/10 of the rise on its own. Eggs, yes, chicken eggs, not dinosaur eggs. Chicken eggs rose 55%. That also counted for 0.1%. That means half the monthly overall inflation reading was due to eggs and fruits and vegetables. But remember, Those are not counted in core because they don't count food and energy. Fed's favorite measure of inflation, the personal consumption expenditures, will be reported later this month on December 20th. PCE shares some of the same components as the PPI report, so the hot monthly figures could filter through into the PCE and potentially cause an upside surprise on the headline reading. But by that time, no one's going to be working, so it won't have as much effect. And the Federal Reserve has their meeting, and they'll give us their announcement on the 18th of December, so that won't matter either as far as the PCE report. Initial jobless claims measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the very first time rose 17,000 to 242,000, which was a lot more than the estimates of 220,000. We'll see how that filters in to the jobs report. Yes, you know I call it the BS report because it's always wrong. And that comes out on the first Friday of the month. So we do report on that one. But again, it moves the market, which is really always funny to me because it's always wrong, yet it moves the market. Until we get the real numbers from QCEW, it won't matter anyway. So that is the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And I think we're going to try a different song this time as we introduce our guest, Lauryn Dunn. So you've got Army and you must have fun, Army and Air Force, right, in the family?
Well, and Navy. So my dad was in the Navy. My brother was in the California National Guard. Husband was in the Ohio National Guard. And my son just swore into the Air Force last week, my older son.
Wow, thank you. And you know something, one of the things that goes underreported, in my opinion, and I'm right, is the fact that the families play a huge part in the military men and women, and thank you as well as your family, because it takes a village, and you know, if they don't have the support of the family back home, thank you. So we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I was actually lucky enough 2 weeks ago, I think it is, maybe 2 weeks ago, to go to the Marine Corps Ball here in Southern California.
Ooh, fun.
And it's an amazing event. I've gone 4 or 5 times, 6 times, something like that. And it's an amazing event. And when you start talking to the older part of the group, I mean, because I think the youngest there this time was 20 years old, and the oldest was 89. And because of the formalities, you always know who the oldest is and who the youngest is.
Right.
It's part of that formality. And when you talk to the older ones, they do talk about the family back home. So big thank you to you and to your family for all that you're doing for our country.
It's our pleasure.
Especially when you're talking to a guy like me who I have not served, but I love our military, and I do a conservative radio show in a very, very liberal state. You couldn't do that if it wasn't for our men and women who provide those freedoms. But let's talk, before we get into talking about military, and I know it's one of your favorite subjects and one of mine as well. There's the most egregious part of the entire lending process. And I'll say it, I don't ask anybody else to. There's a bunch of lowlifes out there that buy data, and then they start chastising, harassing a borrower who's already confused and nervous. They pepper them with phone calls. It's called trigger leads. And you're part of a group trying to help them out. So explain that a little bit.
We are. So, and it's not just phone calls, but I've had clients receive 100 phone calls in a day, bombarded with text message, overnight envelopes from FedEx that show up on their door the next morning. And you described those people correctly. But the credit bureaus sell your information. If you're a consumer applying for a home loan, once your lender does a hard pull on your credit, the bureaus themselves sell the information to these lowlifes. We call them headset jockeys that are calling you from a call center, and they will be very, very misleading. They'll say they're from my team or from Ron's team, and they're working on our loan approval. They'll say anything, including outright lies, to get you to talk to them and try to steal the loan away. The NAM, the National Association of Mortgage Brokers, whom I'm a part of, they have been working extremely hard to try to get a trigger leads bill into Congress to pass. Unfortunately, after a whole bunch of work on that, that was removed from the NDAA just a couple of days ago. So
what is NDAA?
That's the National Defense Authorization Act.
Okay.
That just went up the other day. So, and they stripped the trigger leads bill from that. However, it's when the 119th Congress takes place in January, that's going to be one of NAM's biggest goals, is to get that right back into legislation and to, or in front of the legislator, and to get that to pass. So as consumers who probably hate to have to put their phone on Do Not Disturb for 2 or 3 days or longer until these calls die down, please be reaching out to your congressmen and women, send them emails, leave them voicemails saying that you want this trigger leads bill to pass so that you are not bombarded.
And there's a little more that I can share on that, not on the bill, but I'll share this. The FTC, the last number I saw, gets 600,000 complaints a year from consumers over the credit bureaus. And the credit bureaus say that's just a cost of doing business, and they write another check, and they get, my opinion again, that's how they get these things pulled out of a bill like that, the defense authorization bill. It's because they make a lot of money off of these things.
A lot of money.
So if they're making a lot of money, what's their incentive? The incentive is that people that are leading this charge, like Lauryn and the National Association of Mortgage Brokers, they need to heed this. And if enough people are calling their legislators and saying, hey, you know something, this is a consumer problem. Mm-hmm. Maybe eventually something will happen and we'll get this out of there. But I think it's been tried for a lot of years, and the credit bureaus have a big pull because they've got a big checkbook.
Yes.
So maybe we can get you to is there a link where there's information or more information we can get on these type of things, or that you know of?
Yeah, absolutely. We can send that out.
Okay, send that to us, and we'll put it in the show notes and share it on our social channels.
Yes, but the more we get out and the more consumers that can make their voices heard, and if there's other industry partners, loan officers, get involved with your local and state representatives, get that information out, and also your local mortgage associations. You can do a lot to help with these bills and help push good legislation that favors our consumers by getting involved.
Maybe we can get the National Association of Realtors to get on board with this. Although I think they've got a little bit on their plate right now.
Just a little bit, yeah.
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, I don't know if we're going to talk about anything other than VA loans. We might even get rid of our real-time real estate segment, just because it's my favorite subject, and I'm the host, so I get to make those decisions. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. You know something? There are a lot of online services that you can go to, and they sound really, really good. And I shouldn't say this, but I will, because I am a consumer advocate. They do great TV commercials. They do a lot of what they call A/B testing to see what messages resonate. And they don't always have all the best information, the best training, because they're not into training and they're not into educating. They're into selling and they're into getting the job done. I'm going to share with you, and it drives me crazy because I hear it all the time, that there is a service that's on TV. I watch their ad all the time. I'm not going to mention any names, Veteran United, but they come across that they're always looking out for the veterans. And I don't doubt the fact that they want to help. They don't necessarily have all the information. And I'm going to share with you that I thought I understood the VA loan. And then I went through a course that Lauryn is one of the faculty of, or one of the bigwigs. I don't know the right terminology, but I learned so much. And then I have these issues come up, and I realize how little I still know and how much more there is to learn. And I'd probably know more than most just because of going through this course. Now, I don't know if anybody in these call centers has ever gone through any courses other than filling in data. So I'm going to tell you in the real-time real estate segment today, make sure you're talking to somebody that you can get on the phone, you can get their credentials, and you can look up and see, has that individual done a lot of business in whatever the specific area is. That's the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So we're chatting this morning with Lauryn Dunn. She's the lender girl. She's the VA guru. And I would say, like I say, I know more than most on VA loans. And I think Lauryn's probably forgot more than I know. But you shared a story on social media about a family that you were able to help. And, a lot of people look at it and they say, well, you can't do it, or I don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to say you don't qualify. And that's really not an answer for you, is it?
No, if there's a way to do it, we'll find it out.
So explain this story. Share the story, because maybe there's another veteran that fits in the same arena.
Absolutely. So it's very common that I talk to veterans, also non-veterans, with credit issues. So a gentleman called, and he had a Chapter 7 bankruptcy about 13 months ago. And if you look at the VA handbook, some people who don't know VA as well, some lenders will interpret it to say it's a hard and fast 2-year guideline. So if you have had a bankruptcy in the last 2 years for Chapter 7, you won't be able to qualify. And most of them would just leave it at that and move on and say, we can look at another product, or call me in 2 years once it's been 2 years. One thing that consumers need to know, especially about VA loans, is that not every VA lender interprets the VA guidelines the same, and some lenders will add their own requirements on top of the VA requirements. And Ron, I'm sure you've experienced those overlays. Yep. So, someone could call 3 different lenders that do VA and say, hey, I had a bankruptcy 13 months ago. Can I get a VA loan? And sometimes you can get 3 different answers, right? So when I saw this, we needed to look at the extenuating circumstances. And extenuating circumstances generally can't be, budgeting issues or divorce or things like that. It has to be something more serious, like, death or serious illness of a family member, or, things like that that are very documentable and real life. You can explain and show why this had such an impact on you. So I reached out and said, okay, what situation did you have that caused this bankruptcy? And I won't go into too many personal details, of course, but his story blew me away. It had to do with, he'd been in the Marines for over 17 years and got into a situation where he was looking at being court-martialed. Wow. Now, this was something that shouldn't have happened. So his attorney advised him to take a plea deal to get out of the Marines and get an other than honorable discharge. So you've got honorable, other than honorable, and dishonorable discharges. So he took a plea deal to get an other than honorable discharge. And then once he was discharged, he was able to fight that. Now that legal battle took him over 1.5 years. He was not, even after over 17 years, he was not receiving VA disability or benefits or anything like that. He had applied at a higher level job, and after a 6-month-long application process, was told a week before he was supposed to start that he couldn't start because of this other than honorable discharge. So all these situations together, we were able to document that, hey, he had great credit history before the bankruptcy and before all these events. And then we were able to document the events. He did get his other than honorable discharge overturned to an honorable. He got his VA benefits. He got those increased. It gives me chills. He went to school on the GI Bill, and now he started a great job in the trades. And then his credit's been squeaky clean since after the bankruptcy as well. So being able to tell a good story and document all this, we got that loan approval. And when I called him to tell him, I was like, I had to say, are you sitting down? He was thrilled. And that's kind of what makes this job worthwhile, is being able to take those extra steps and find these veterans homes. It just tickles me pink.
Yeah, it gives you, oh, I don't know. I think if it doesn't give you the chills, you don't have blood.
Yeah, right.
Because I listened to that story when I saw that you had posted that and shared that earlier. I was just thrilled about seeing that, and has a big testament to your tenacity and not taking no for an answer when there's been a wrong.
Right. And I have to say, the kicker on this for me especially was that the reason he wants to buy a home and move is that his daughter is 60 to 70 miles away from him, and he wants to buy a home closer to her to be more a part of her life.
Well, and I think
you make that happen.
And I think you said that there was some public information. If I'm wrong, just tell me, that child support issues too.
Yeah, he was behind on his child support, and when he got his back pay from his original VA disability rating, and then his increase, he put 90% of each of those big lump sums of tens of thousands of dollars towards his child support, because it's important for him to be able to show that he's current, he pays his bill on the time. He just had a rough patch in his life. So not everyone with the bankruptcy that's 13 months old will get approved, right? It depends on the circumstances and the credit history surrounding that. But in his case, it made so much sense. And that's what the VA loans are all about, is this a common sense decision that favors the veteran?
And that, I think one of the big takeaways that I got from going through the course was that the VA wants veterans to own homes.
Absolutely.
And they're willing to look at a story, if you can document like you did, and other areas. And we're going to talk about some of the other areas in the broadcast today. But if you can document things and it makes sense, the VA is willing to look at that and help that veteran get their own home, because those veterans are the reason all of us are able to buy houses.
Right.
I mean, so kudos to you for helping this person, and obviously it starts with that veteran, being following one of the mottos that we have at Geneva, is being a good human. Right, that veteran was a good human, did the right things, and it's great to see a happy ending to a real life story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're thrilled for him, and it's underwriters that make a big difference as well, because the VA itself, they write the guidelines, but they don't actually underwrite the loan. They'll guarantee it after closing, which is something that consumers never have to be involved in. So making sure that you're working with the right team, like loan officers, but also the underwriters who know how to interpret the VA guidelines correctly to make those common sense decisions, is huge.
Explain that a little bit, because the average person doesn't understand. The VA does not approve the loan, right?
Correct. Yeah, the VA does not. 99% of loans, the VA will never get involved in at all. Again, it's just post-closing, they kind of put a stamp of guarantee on the loan. So the way that they've written the handbook, they give all the underwriting and closing authority to the lenders. And by lenders, I mean, Ron's company, my company, the ones who actually do the loans. The VA itself does not write loans. And that's a common misconception from a company whose name we shall not say, unless you want to say it.
I wouldn't mention Veteran United. I wouldn't say that.
Me neither. But they intentionally let people think that they are the VA. I have so many veterans that call me and say, I got a loan approval from the VA. I say, do you mean Veterans United? And they say, yeah. I'm like, well, that's not the case. The VA does not get involved in that stance. So that's part of the reason. Again, you'll get many different answers from many different companies, because it's the underwriters that make the discretion on whether a veteran can get approved or not, right? So, which is good and bad. It's great if you have underwriters that know what they're doing and they know how to interpret the VA handbook correctly, again, to make common sense decision that favors the veterans. but it can be a problem when you have underwriters that don't know VA very well. So there's a couple different levels of things to work through there.
And one of the other things, even with and I'm going to say Veterans United probably they do a lot of business.
Yeah. They're good at marketing. They're good at marketing.
They're very good at marketing. And they do a lot of business. And what I would say with them is, I say this on every big bank as well. Many, many institutions don't, when they say you're not approved, they forget the last two words, and that would be with us.
Right.
Because, you can go into Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Chase or any of those other institutions. And Lauren, you made a comment about this in the last segment, and it's so accurate. Many, many institutions have overlays, and basically they're just methods that they can they can reduce their risk on any kind of a loan. And there's other companies that say, something, we're going to interpret this a little differently, and we're going to look at the other circumstances. It's a cookie cutter approach, and some are cookie cutter and they just want to do the easy loans. Out here in California, I don't know if it was nationwide, but years ago there was a company called Ditech, and they always advertised the very, very lowest rate, but you had to have like a 760 FICO score, and you had to have 40% equity, and you had to be W-2 and on the job for 600 years and things like that. And if you applied, they would just, if you didn't qualify, they just would never call you back. And you're thinking, well, I don't qualify, but it was with them.
Right. Well, you mentioned that 760 credit score, and that's one of the most common overlays with VA loans. Fun fact, most people don't know this, but the VA does not have a minimum credit score requirement. So, but lenders do. So you can call 3 different lenders and say, what's my minimum credit score required to get a VA loan? And you can get 3 different answers, where there are some places that don't have that overlay, and it doesn't matter what the credit score is, but they look much more closely at the last 12 months of credit history.
Great information. We're going to continue our conversation with Lauryn Dunn when we come back. You can reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Continuing our conversation, Lauryn Dunn is with us. We're chatting about VA loans, and we're learning about not every lender's the same. They're not all created equal. And I want to chat about one of my favorite parts of the VA loan, because it's very, very unique. And I don't know of any other loan well, I guess the only other loan that I know that follows this might be if you're dealing with a private money lender. But appraisals, let's talk about the VA appraisal. That's kind of a fascinating one, because I think it's one of the only ones in traditional lending where, the appraiser really has to justify their, well, I wouldn't say existence, but, really defend their report. Explain that a little bit, Lauryn.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't remember that VA appraisers are also regular appraisers, right? You have to go through a lot more training and time in the field as a regular appraiser to make it onto the VA panel. So, VA appraisers get kind of a bad rap, but sometimes there's good reason for that, but they're just your regular local appraisers in most cases. So, talking about value, I think that's what you were getting at, Ron. We can talk about property condition as well, but the VA has 2 prescribed and approved methods to help get your value adjusted on a low appraisal if that does come back, whereas no other loan type has that.
Explain that a little bit, because they have to call you before they can, really submit the appraisal, right?
Well, if the value is going to be low.
The
And by
value's
the
low.
way, the last statistic that the VA published was that 93% of VA appraisals are coming in at or above value versus only 80% of conventional. So there's been a stigma in the market in the past that, VA appraisals always come in low, or is it going to appraise? Well, statistically, VA appraisals will beat out your value in your conventional. So that's been kind of an interesting market shift to see. Now, if the
Ironically enough, the VA loan is a more secure loan than the traditional loans too. They have a much lower default rate than any other loan.
Yeah. Just under about 2% for VA, where it's a little higher for conventional and much higher for FHA. So,
Yeah, but go ahead with your thought on the appraisal.
Yeah. So if the appraiser is putting together his report or her report and does not think they're going to be able to come to contract price, they will issue what's called Tidewater. Now, not to be confused with Tide Pods that the kids are into these days. Tidewater. So they'll initiate Tidewater, and that'll be before they send the report. So us as lenders and the real estate agents involved, we don't know what comps or comparable properties the appraiser is looking at, and we don't know what the value is going to be yet. We just know that we may have trouble coming to contract price. So this is the appraiser's way of reaching out to us for help and saying, hey, is there something I'm missing? Maybe additional data, some cash sales that aren't in the MLS, like other data out there that supports your contract price that I'm missing. So it's a great way to collaborate. And this is where the listing agent and the buyer's agent can really shine in providing some data of why this house should be selling or should be in contract for this amount. So we give our agents about 24 hours and I do help as well put together the reasoning and the data as to why we think it should meet contract price. And then we submit that back to the appraiser, and then they finish putting their report together, and then they'll issue the actual report, right? So at that point, it's either going to be at value, above value, or below value. If it's still below value, now we have the data that the appraiser has put together. We know what comparable properties are being used. We know what the purchase or the appraised value is. And then if it's still low, we have the option for VA loans to go over the appraiser's head and go straight to the VA and make our case as to why we think this house should appraise at the contract price, which is no other loan type has that. I mean, that's mind blowing, right? So that process is called reconsideration of value, or ROV. So you've got the Tidewater and the reconsideration of value. Make your case with the appraiser, make your case directly to the VA, and then see about that, what the value comes back at that point.
And it's amazing because there are some appraisers that, they are so used to just saying, this is the value, end of story, that having this process is really, really a valuable process. But again, if you just call into that call center, they might not want to go the extra mile, and because they're looking for easy. They're timed. It's kind of like a UPS driver, right? I mean, they get timed for every stop that they make. In a call center, you have to answer so many calls or make so many. You have so many minutes for everything. Whereas a mortgage broker, like Lauryn, or banker like what we do, we're out there just trying to see how we make it work, because we're more. I think it's more relationship than what some of the average, what a call center is doing.
Right. They have no skin in the game. They're not going to run into you at the grocery store, or it's maybe hard to even get the same person on the phone.
It's a whole different world. So talk about property requirements a little bit. Can any property be purchased by a veteran?
So that's where we have to look at, again, the whole property condition in terms of a health and safety standpoint. So that's what the VA wants, is they want the home to be in good shape for the veteran from a health and safety standpoint. They don't want to put a veteran, especially maybe a disabled veteran, into a home that is going to be in disrepair, cause a lot of maintenance work or whatnot. So there are some little things that are kind of annoying for everybody. And the VA may be making some big changes to their appraisal requirements. It's turning a small rudder on a big ship for that to happen. So we have no idea on the time frame of that. But for now, we have to look at some things like peeling paint. Is there peeling paint on the house? Are there any, broken windows? Are there missing handrails or guardrails from steps? And those are some things to keep in mind as you're looking at homes, but they're not something that should stop the deal from going through. They're, in most cases, some minor repairs that may need to be done. If the house has major glaring health and safety items, it's going to probably be a problem on any other loan type as well. So I try to counsel my clients and my real estate agents is don't say, oh, this home won't go VA. Say, how can we get this home to go VA? Now, again, certainly there's some homes that are too far gone or way too much of a structural fixer-upper or something like that to go VA, in which case they wouldn't go FHA and they may have a hard time going conventional. So look at it as how can we make this work? How can we work this together and get this done?
That's a great point right there, is to just have and I call it the household board of directors, right? So you've got your lender, you've got your realtor, you've got your tax people and legal people and insurance and all that, all working together to help you get a property. And I look at it as being a big benefit that the VA wants something safe, and our veterans deserve that. I mean, everybody deserves a safe place to live, but I think there's got to be a special. I put veterans on a platform, and Lauren, I'm sure you do the same thing. That whenever I hear a real estate agent say that they're not going to consider a VA loan, to me that's just an open opportunity for me to have a chat, maybe even on a little radio show that or a social media channel that gets 40 million views every month. Just a little chat right there, because they've earned that. It's not because I ever want to put somebody down, but if you're not looking out for our veterans, to me, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, and the VA loan really is the best loan type out there, especially for our veterans. It has so many amazing benefits. And when we can clearly communicate to these real estate agents how good it is, I had a $1 million VA loan just this week beat out a conventional and a cash offer, and we got our offer accepted. And I know for a fact one of those offers was higher than ours. So when you're clearly communicating the value of the VA loan, and again, when you're working with a good team like Ron and I and many others out there, that you're not going to have problems with underwriting or closing or appraisal. And if there are, we know what to do to overcome that. It's a done deal.
So Josh has already given us the wrap, but I'm going to still go over 1 second. I want to talk. Give me about 30 seconds, Lauren, if you would, on VMA, and there was one other that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, VMA, VHA. So I'm part of a council that helps run two programs, one for lenders and one for realtors. The lenders is Veteran Mortgage Advisor, and for realtors, it's Veteran Housing Advisor. And this is the course that Ron had referenced earlier. If you are in the industry and you want to take a deeper dive and get certified to be a rock star at VA lending or VA transactions, and then have the marketing information to take this to your sphere and to make it a niche if you want, and really get good at your craft, whether it's because you want to help all the veterans or you just want to know what you're doing when you come across an occasional veteran, please go to veteranmortgageadvisor.com. We have all the information and links on there for the programs, and we'd love to teach you more about that.
And I can't stress enough that not only is the program tremendous, the people involved are like Lauren that are teaching this. They're so open, so accessible, so willing to guide those who are getting involved and really taking this to the next level and wanting to serve. Not to make the money, but I mean, you guys are really amazing individuals helping out. So if you are a lender listening and you want to get involved in the VA loans, you owe it to your clients and maybe your own family also to go and get the certification. And then I'm part of the monthly group. I think we pay a monthly fee, which I don't care, because I get to listen in and be part of this organization that's really out there helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
we're very focused on advocacy and education.
Appreciate what you're doing and what the rest of the council's doing there for the whole community. And really, really thank you. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to get you back on because there's other topics we wanted to get to, but we didn't, as usual, because I talk too much. But I'm glad to have you. Thanks for coming in, Lauren. And as always, I ask set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Getting paid by the hour and older by the minute. My boss just